What is up, everybody? Um, Back on another video, man. Today we're gonna be reacting to Luka Doncic deserves better than it. But I was gonna say, do a flight be saying Luka Doncic, bruh. Luka Doncic deserves better than this butterfly mic. Get to it, man.
I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that this game was quite possibly the most important game in Los Angeles Clippers history. And the reason why is that there is just so much on the line here. Going down 3-0 to the Dallas Mavericks would pretty much seal your fate in terms of how far this team can go in this year's NBA playoffs. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. Guys, I'm currently being held hostage in some bunker in a location that I am not aware of. And the only way that they'll let me go is if you smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. My captors are frustrated with the fact that my content doesn't get pushed out to a larger audience. And by liking this video, that's probably the best way we can get this content to a larger audience. In addition to that, make sure you subscribe to my podcast, Laced Up, featuring Mike Korzemba and Get Like Coop, because we are 16,000 subscribers away from giving away a next-gen console on that channel. All you have to do to enter is subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Imagine winning this giveaway and asking for an Xbox.
Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro.
But I know y'all, bro. I know some of y'all still don't got next gen consoles, bro. Comment down if you still don't got a next gen console, bro. I got mine like 2 months ago. Not even gonna hold you. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? There's a lot of storylines going on in this game. Firstly, if you think about it, the only team that Luka Doncic has ever faced off in the NBA playoffs is the Los Angeles Clippers. And that hunger to vanquish the team that has been able to hold him down throughout his very short NBA playoff career was evident in the first 2 games of this series when Luka and the Dallas Mavericks were able to steal home court from the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, for the Los Angeles Clippers, things were looking fairly bleak, being down 2-0 in this series, and losing both games at your home arena never spells for at least a lot of optimism going into game 3. But here's the thing, Kawhi Leonard has been here before. If you go back 2 years ago during the 2019 NBA playoffs, this was Kawhi Leonard's lone season with the Toronto Raptors. In the conference finals, the Toronto Raptors faced off against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. And ultimately, after the Milwaukee Bucks took a 2-0 lead, the Toronto Raptors were able to win their next 2 home.
That's crazy. He really left a championship team to be with the Clippers, bro. And they can't even get to the conference finals.
Home games, then steal a game in Milwaukee in game 5, and then ultimately beat the Milwaukee Bucks at home to make it to the NBA Finals. But the difference between that series and this series is Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers lost their first 2 games at home. The Dallas Mavericks can essentially sweep the Los Angeles Clippers, and they have home court advantage in Dallas of all places. Now, a completely different element to this game, which I didn't bring up until now because I figured it was implied, but I like creating my content as if this is your first time watching a video on my channel, is the fact that the Los Angeles Clippers are fully committed to the current core that they have. If you remember, they traded 7 first-round picks, including 2 pick swaps for Paul George, in order to appease Kawhi Leonard and then sign Kawhi Leonard. This backed them up into a bit of a hole, and we covered this at length in my previous video, to the point where they were pretty much very limited in terms of trying to get additional help for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And look, I'm not trying to point a blame finger, it just is what it is. Pretty much the entire Los Angeles Clippers team is there for the foreseeable future, or at least the core of the Los Angeles Clippers team is, except for Kawhi Leonard. He can opt out after this season and sign somewhere else. And while initially I thought that wouldn't really be a possibility because we all know Kawhi Leonard really went to Los Angeles for the location, if you are a player that's on a team that literally got swept in the first round of the NBA playoffs, after a year where you guys exited the playoffs significantly earlier than you anticipated, it is going to be at least somewhat tempting to consider switching teams. And I'm sure that's going on in the back of Kawhi Leonard's mind, especially if he gets swept in this instance. So I asked you guys on Instagram and Twitter, but I'll show you the tweet because, well, I figured it's easier. Why would Kawhi Leonard stay on the Los Angeles Clippers? Because I myself, trying to remain unbiased in this situation, I have trouble trying to figure that out myself. There's so many more attractive destinations, the Miami Heat, the Golden State Warriors. So let me know in the comment section down below, or respond to that tweet, or you can respond to the Instagram post. As a matter of fact, if you follow me on Instagram, any of my followers have entered for a chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Maxes. So yeah.
My boy, you look like a school nuisance, bro.
I really want to get you guys' take on this. In the beginning of this game, the Dallas Mavericks would jump out to a huge lead as American Airlines Center got wild for the fact that the Dallas Mavericks may actually go up 3-0 against the Los Angeles Clippers. Luka Doncic was hitting from all cylinders in the first quarter, and everything seemed to have been going well until he sat down on the bench. At that moment, the Los Angeles Clippers happened to come back off of near perfect performances from both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I gotta give Paul George his proper credit. He was magnificent this game. Even as a guy that consistently roots against him and Kawhi Leonard, they complemented one another perfectly and honestly had near perfect games. They were complemented by Reggie Jackson, who was lights out from three, but the biggest story of this game, and something that's becoming more and more apparent, and I'm gonna give credit to Mike Korzemba because he made this take, and Get Like Coop made this take on our podcast as well, is the fact that even though Luka Doncic is a transcendent talent, the one thing that is going to consistently hold him back is the fact that he might have quite possibly one of the streakiest supporting casts that I think I've ever seen in the NBA. As a matter of fact, a supporting cast that reminds me of Luka Doncic's current supporting cast is what LeBron James had in his final season on the Cleveland Cavaliers once Kyrie Irving left. He's pretty much surrounded by a bunch of streaky shooters and a floor spacing big man that is just told to camp around the perimeter and launch threes, despite getting paid a maximum contract. Don't get me wrong, there are players on the Dallas Mavericks I love. I love Tim Hardaway Jr., I love Maxi Kleber, I love Dorian Finney-Smith, but the issue is the Dallas Mavericks are paying Kristaps Porzingis a max contract. And to be honest, I love Kristaps and I'm always rooting for Kristaps, but it appears as though this has been a horrible investment thus far. Now, of course, he's coming back from an injury and I understand that, but when you're getting paid a max contract, you need to be a significantly bigger contributor than what Kristaps Porzingis has been for the Dallas Mavericks this entire game. And as a matter of fact, even though he had a great game too, where he went off for 20 points, the main reason why the Mavericks won those first two games isn't solely because of Luka Doncic being amazing, because that's of course a given. Luka Doncic has to play amazingly for the Mavericks to even be in the conversation, but it's because Tim Hardaway complemented Luka Doncic perfectly and all the role players stepped up remarkably. Like in game one, Kristaps Porzingis was 4 of 13 for 14 points, while Tim Hardaway Jr. was 8 of 13, including 5 of 9 from 3 for 21 points, and Dorian Finney-Smith was 4 of 5 from 3 for 18 points. And to be honest, even though I'm rooting for the Dallas Mavericks, a part of me just didn't feel like that was sustainable production. But they proved me wrong, because in game two, instead of Dorian Finney-Smith taking the lead, we saw Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Kristaps Porzingis all step up, in addition to Luka Doncic dropping 39 points. And as a result, the Dallas Mavericks once again beat the Los Angeles Clippers, despite Kawhi Leonard dropping 41 and Paul George dropping 28 off of over 50% shooting. And look, man, I'm willing to give Kristaps a pass until, I guess, the end of next year, because he hasn't really been the same this entire year. He's been in and out of the lineup with injuries, but I just am beginning to feel as though Kristaps is just a poor schematic fit for the Dallas Mavericks,
W
because
pass.
this is a guy that was absolutely thriving on the New York Knicks when he was the focal point of the offense. He had some opportunities in the post, in addition to the ability to being able to stretch out the floor, and as a result, he thrived. But now it seems like the Dallas Mavericks took Kristaps Porzingis, paid him max contract money just to be a glorified 7'3" Steve Novak that camps out around the perimeter and just shoots threes once he has the opportunity. So, in my opinion, if the Dallas Mavericks want to have sustained success, not only in this series, but throughout the entire NBA playoffs, and be better than just a team that is a potential second round exit at best, then they definitely need to either integrate Kristaps Porzingis a little bit better into the offense, or trade Kristaps and just get Luka Doncic a better running mate. I'd like to see more out of Kristaps, especially when Luka Doncic goes to the bench. At the end of the day, I think this all came down to the fact that the Los Angeles Clippers played with, and I hate to sound tacky because I hate making this take, but the Clippers clearly played with significantly more urgency because the situation called for them to play with more urgency. I think that, combined with the fact that Luka Doncic didn't get as much help from his supporting cast tonight, given the fact that Kristaps Porzingis literally shot 33% from the field and has single-digit points up until the 3-minute point of the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
I think those were the
bad.
factors that attributed to the Dallas Mavericks losing the most tonight. But the good news is for the Mavericks that if they win the next game, they still technically have home court advantage. It's really up to them to get back into the lab, game plan, and try to fix the problems that they had this game. However, unfortunately, I really don't think they'll fix the most glaring issue that they have, and that's their inability to integrate Kristaps Porzingis into the offense properly. But that's my take on the matter, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you made it to the end of the video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It takes a lot of work to get these out so quickly, especially with in-game highlights, man. Make sure you're followed on Instagram for a chance to win some.
That's the end of this video, bro. Like, comment, subscribe on y'all,